Hello and welcome to WMT Review's Avengers Month. I am Wiseman Tanofsky. Well, we're almost there. We've followed the course of Marvel's return to cinematic glory, enjoyed the highs, tried to ignore the lows, and finally the whole journey is about to come full circle. Well, part full circle. The fullest circle to date. Each of the 6 core Avengers was where they needed to be for Age of Ultron to begin. Fury's gone underground, Stark I suppose has proven himself that he's more than just a suit of armour, and Captain America has shown that he can deliver a whirlwind of an action film in the modern world, even more so than in the wartime. Earth's mightiest heroes are ready and waiting for their next challenge, and so the MCU prepared to take us away from Earth, away from Asgard, across the stars to the universe at large. When Marvel announced that Guardians of the Galaxy would be their next big cinematic release, I had no idea what they were talking about. Who the hell are the Guardians of the Galaxy? So I did what all people do when they don't know what something is. I asked Uncle Google. And when I saw a lineup of misfit heroes consisting of a raccoon and a tree, well, I just didn't know what to think. But in any event, Guardians of the Galaxy was released in July of 2014, and all anyone said to me was, "Have you seen it yet? You've got to go see it." It was heralded as the most light-hearted and enjoyable superhero movie in years, casting off the now almost fundamental darkness and gritty nature of most modern hero flicks for a 2-hour sci-fi extravaganza. And when I saw it, well, let's not waste any time. Welcome to the penultimate review of Marvel's second phase. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. So what's the story? Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, is a not-so-renowned interstellar outlaw who's been sent to recover a mysterious silver orb. However, he soon attracts the attention of bounty hunter duo Rocket Raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper, and the tree-like Groot, voiced by Vin Diesel, while the orb itself is sought by deadly assassin Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana, and the ensuing conflict results in getting them all arrested. Meanwhile, a Kree fanatic named Ronan the Accuser, played by Lee Pace, makes a pact with the mad titan Thanos, played by Josh Brolin, to recover the orb in exchange for the destruction of planet Xandar, his hated enemies. However, when the prisoners band together and escape with the help of Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Batista, they discover that the orb carries a deadly Infinity Stone, and resolve to work together to keep it away from Thanos. Ronan soon captures the stone, however, and moves to destroy Xandar, while the newly formed Guardians infiltrate his ship and take the Accuser head-on, getting the stone away from him and using their combined strength to control its power and destroy Ronan. Guardians of the Galaxy is the only film in the MCU that I can say actively stands toe-to-toe with Thor in visual terms. This film is stunning to look at and very pretty indeed. Where Thor brought us the shimmering towers of Asgard, Guardians brings us the infinite majesty of space. And it's not the Star Wars kind of space with just blackness and stars. It's more akin to the Star Trek kind of space with multicolored nebulas filling the screen. It creates some truly beautiful astral backdrops for the action. I even think space was green at one point. And the locations of the many planets each have their own look and feel, from the sprawling cities of Xandar to the rundown alleyways of nowhere. It's such a good-looking film. Going into this most light-hearted superhero film in years, it was kind of a kick to see Star-Lord's mother dying in the opening scene. It kind of came out of nowhere and made me feel like it was just going to be another broody movie. But it moves on very quickly, and as for the pace of the rest of the movie, it keeps your attention. The plot flows very naturally from one scene to the next, and we have a lot of entertaining and comedic moments to aid in that. So let's have a look at the cast. Chris Pratt is massively entertaining as Star-Lord. He feels like a mix of all the great sci-fi protagonists, and he's a very enjoyable character. Very easy to get invested in, and just a joy to watch. He plays off the rest of the cast perfectly, from the other Guardians to Ronan himself. And I could probably write a whole review just around this guy's character. We also have the 2 voice performances from Bradley Cooper as Rocket and Vin Diesel as Groot, and again, these characters are just great. Rocket delivers some of the best lines in the film, and his design and demeanour perfectly match his character. Cooper's delivery has the sharp edge that Johansson's Widow has, with even more of a sarcastic tone, which just makes him fun to watch. And Groot, my God, how can anyone make just the 3 words, "I am Groot," emote so much? Each time he says it, it's different. You can almost hear what he's trying to say just from Diesel's performance. It's fantastic. I also really enjoyed Batista as Drax the Destroyer. From the moment he's introduced, he dominates the screen, and the wooden delivery common to so many wrestler-turned-actors works brilliantly for Drax's character and complements it really well. So many great performances in one film, it's incredible. Zoe Saldana as Gamora and Karen Gillan as the sort of evil sister Nebula deliver rather enjoyable characters as well. The look of Nebula is really cool, and I have to say the two really nail the bitter sibling rivalry thing too. Out of the two, I'd say Saldana gives the better performance, but I think the visuals and vocal modulation of Nebula bring her up to a similar standard. I'm just not a Gillan fan, largely due to her character in Doctor Who. But we also have the formal introduction of Tanalir Tavan, played by Benicio del Toro, the whimsical collector. And this guy is clearly having even more fun with his character than the rest of the cast. His exaggerated motions, his elegant dialogue, and of course we know from the Dark World end credits scene that the collector is currently in possession of one of the Infinity Stones, the Tesseract. Whose side is he on? We'll have to wait and see, but either way, a great performance in a scene so littered with references, there aren't enough freeze frames on the net to catch them all. On to the movie's villains, and firstly we have Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser, and I've got to admit, when this film was over and Ronan met his end, I didn't really have the yay feeling that I normally do, being as we hadn't really seen him do anything. The character has all this off-screen fluff talked about how he's destroying worlds, killing thousands in his own personal vendetta against the Xandarians. But in the film, he's barely there at all until the final act. He has his introduction and a couple of scenes in pursuit of the orb, including a cool battle sequence with Drax. But really, I came away knowing less about this character than with Malekith, and that's saying something. And it's not like Thanos drew focus. He was only in a scene and a half. Speaking of which, I was so excited to see the Mad Titan in all his glory. Infinity War is looking very good indeed, simply based off the look, feel and delivery of Brolin's first scene, really helping to create the atmosphere of unspoken fear surrounding this massive figure of the MCU. The score was great, the delivery was great, roll on 2018. On the subject of Thanos, I meant to bring this up in the Dark World review. The Infinity Stones aren't really as powerful as I was expecting, even if they are alone. When Malekith absorbed the Aether, he just sort of threw Thor around a bit, and even Thor said, "With all that power inside you, I thought you'd hit harder." And here, when Ronan uses the Power Stone, he just sort of throws the Guardians around a bit too. Now, we see the stone being used to destroy a planet in the hand of the Celestials, so we know the power of a single stone. But this does create a serious problem for the future. The Infinity Gauntlet combines the power of all 6 stones. I really don't want to see punches being pulled when Thanos goes up against the Avengers. And that's the feeling I got watching Ronan battle the Guardians and Malekith battling Thor. They were pulling their punches, not unleashing the full power of the stones because, well, that's a main character they're fighting. They're not allowed to kill them. They also don't seem to have the psychological subplot similar to the One Ring, where the stones are calling out to the people in possession of them to use them, find the other 5, control the universe, like we've had in the cartoon series. I kind of want to see more of that because I want to feel the psychological power of these things, the way they corrupt the hearts and souls of people in possession of them. I want to see a bit more development around these ancient and powerful artifacts before the Infinity Gauntlet combines them all together. Just a humble fanboy voicing an opinion. Now, I have to talk about the film's soundtrack because it's what drew me to the film to begin with, not knowing anything about the characters. So many of my childhood favourites are in this film. Blue Suede, the Jackson 5, David Bowie, Marvin Gaye, what an amazing soundtrack. And I love the way it was worked into the movie with the use of the cassette tape. See kids, that's what people in the 90s used to listen to their music on, and their vastly superior music at that. It completed the film for me and made it stand out as a success of a film. I don't mind saying that I thoroughly enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. People were right, it was light-hearted, it told an interesting story with exciting characters, and above all else, it was fun. It didn't succumb to the dull misery and morality play of the modern superhero movies, to the point where it felt like more of a sci-fi film than a superhero film. And that worked really well for me. I liked the characters, I enjoyed watching their scenario play out. The villain felt a touch underdeveloped, but we got the formal introduction of Thanos to make up for that. The music was incredible, the chemistry was great between the characters, it was witty, it was well written, all around a great movie. And for that, I would feel ashamed to award it any less than an 8.5 on the Orsometer. For the biggest risk taker in the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy delivers on every point and stands proud alongside the other heavy hitters of the series. So that's an 8.5 on the Orsometer for Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, that's it. We've done them all. It's been a hell of a journey, but all paths must come to an end. I will see you next time for the WMT review of Avengers Age of Ultron. I've been Wiseman Tanofsky. This has been WMT Reviews Avengers Month. Thank you very much for listening.